Hello everyone, Lawrence Fleming here, back to my normal hike. The weather has been beautiful for most of this stay here. When I say it's most, you just have to adapt to the temperature change. I've got enough clothes for a normal camp out, but I didn't bring enough winter clothes, so when this camp is over and I go back in closer to town, I will update my clothing. It's something I got to keep in mind if I head out of here and try to head west. I'm going to be too far away to come back, so I'm going to have to take more than I would normally take. I have to think that through pretty good. Okay, we are being annoyed and eventually threatened by the harlot Mystery Babylon. What's the big deal about Babylon? Why are they still around? We know that they're idol worshippers. We have the history of their big city that they were trying to build in their Tower of Babel. That's where we get the term Babel from. Let's look at their beginnings. Why was it wrong for them to build their city and everybody speak the same languages? That would seem to be a thing to do unless you were going against the will of God. We're going to look at this in the Bible study, but basically, after the flood, they were told to repopulate the earth, fill the earth up. Scatter out, go everywhere you can. Don't congregate in one area. And that was the instruction from God. So when they decided that, hey, we all speak the same language, why scatter? Why not just stay right here and build a big city? And that was their mistake. The problem that we have as humans, since we've got this sinful body, is eventually we drift away. Now we're helped along the way with Satan, who would love to see us fail. And so people will say, well, that's not fair. You've put us down here with somebody who's around us all the time, deliberately trying to make us fail. Well, God hears this from a lot of people. That seems to be a standard excuse. So he's going to prove it to us. During the millennium, he's going to lock Satan up for those 1,000 years. He's not going to be around to bother us. And the first generation is probably going to be okay, as is typical. But each generation seems to drift a little bit further away. So after the 1,000 years, and Satan's let back out, they're going to run to him, away from God. And that's where we have our final battle. And then Satan's put away. And it proves the point that in our human sinful bodies, we can't even function on our own without God. God figured out a long time ago it doesn't take us that long to wander off. If you look at the early people in the Bible, they lived to be hundreds of years. Methuselah, 960 some odd years. And all of them back then lived a long time. It was after the flood that the time started getting shorter. I think God realized that giving us 1,000 years to live was too much for our training down here on earth. And that's pretty much what we're doing. We're learning. We all are born with our sin nature as babies, and we get a chance to learn how to live in this world. How we use our time. It's like the parable of the master giving coins to his servants and then coming back. What have we done with our time? What are you doing with your time? If God would have come to you right now, if Jesus would have come to you and asked you right now, what are you doing for me? What would your answer be? I don't know what to do. Well, if you're just getting started, of course you're going to have to learn. If you're as old as me, you better know what to do. So, in getting ready for our great escape, the Master is preparing us our rooms. I don't think he's preparing us a banquet yet. That's to come. But there will be one. Don't worry, there'll be a party. Well, what's he going to find when he gets here? Now, unfortunately, since he knows everything, he's not going to be surprised. But he can be grateful. He can be smiling when he finds us doing the work that he left us to do. The Master was pleased with the servants that invested the money. Not happy with those that buried it, hid it away so that it wouldn't get lost. I think the Master would have been happier if they had tried to invest it, legitimately tried, and made a bad investment. That would have at least meant that they tried. Instead, he finds where they hid it. No. You have talents. Every one of us does. You should be using them. Don't hide your talents. Don't put your light under a bushel. Put it up on top so everybody can see it. It's like when I told you in my video this morning, I'm recording this in the afternoon because I'm behind. When I told you this morning that I had talked to somebody in the T-Mobile store, I could have just sat there and remained completely silent and nobody would have known. But by talking about it, I got other people talking about it too. I didn't have to try to get a conviction then. All I had to do was just bring it up, get everybody talking about it. The Spirit to do the rest, especially if they're Christians. And I'm sure there were some there that weren't. The one that waited on me had one of those disgusting looking nose rings. I doubt that's a Christian. But I'm not to judge. I know, I'm looking at the tree and I'm seeing the fruit on it and it's not very good. Maybe she was a Christian when she was younger and turned around the other way. But she's the one that I told about my website. She didn't follow up or ask any questions, but the other guy did. You never know. If you ask God to bring someone to you every day, He will do it. You don't even have to go out. Somebody could call to the door to be a salesman or a repair person, or maybe your washer dryer breaks and you have to call in a technician. God will bring people to you. So there's no excuses. If you ask God to help you to witness, not only will He make sure that you get in contact with them, but He will also make sure that you know what to say. Keep stepping in and out of the sun. I had to make my morning video for today, so I'm shooting this just afternoon, so the sun's kind of overhead, having to play catch up. Okay, let's see how we doing on time. We're good. We're about halfway through this video. I'm contemplating asking God for direction of trying to stay here another 3 days. I think I'm only here a week or 10 days, and I've got 2 weeks. So I've got time on the books if I do want to do that. I am going to my son's place to deal with his cats in the middle of the month, assuming we're still here and God doesn't divert me to someplace else, in which case I got to figure out how to deal with his cats. But in any case, I'm doing that, and that's on the 15th. I have to be out of here on the 7th. That gives me 8 days. My original plan, which I didn't think through all the way, was to go to a county park. A county park only allows for 5 days worth of stay. That leaves me 3 days left over. What am I going to do? Okay, I hiked back in here on purpose because I wanted to see, if you remember on a few videos ago, I came up to the end of this hike and said that it just took the bridge down. What am I going to do? Well, they put in a new one. It's good and sturdy. It's not a wooden bridge. So I didn't have to go climb down in the creek. So it's pretty nice. All right, I got to make sure I follow the trail to get out of here. I wonder if I were to go back into this other trail, I'd see the deer that I saw before. That would be too cool, but I'm going to go the way I'm headed. All right. Today is the final day of Yom Kippur for the Jews on their schedule. I think Dr. Barry has it on is it the 9th and the 10th? It's not too far away because they're not that far off, but it is in the future. But again, keep watching. I'm getting tired of looking at my hair. The wind's blowing more here than at any other park I've been to. And because of that, I end up with my hair all messed up. I have some clippers with me. I'm half tempted to buzz it off. But if I do, the color will be gone. It'll be gone eventually anyway. So I think I'm going to try to do that when I get back. So you might not recognize me completely. Shorter hair will be easier to take care of. Since I'm not working and don't have to give them a camera-friendly face, I think I'm going to do that. Okay. You wrap this up here. Put my poles down so I can switch hands. We have hopefully a week or two starting from tonight or today, keeping in mind that if it's on Jewish time, there are 7 hours ahead of us. So the day will actually end in our early afternoon. Life goes on while we wait. We had our SpaceX space launch to get the astronauts up to the station. I watched the launch. I haven't watched anything more since that. Hopefully everything's still going good. We'll see the docking and all that stuff. That stuff's routine now. What we're looking for is to see the Mars rocket launch. That's a big monster. All those engines all at the same time. Our moon rockets have a number of engines, but nothing compared to this Mars one because it's big. I'd love to go down there and watch the launch, but I don't know where I'd want to go right now. I'm starting to see people up here come into these camps in the midweek. Normally I'm completely by myself midweek, and I'm over half full. And I've talked to a couple of them. Some are from the Florida border down South Georgia, but a lot of them are from Florida. So they come up here to get away from the mess. And I'm sure all the parks down there are full as well. So I think it's a good time when I take off a week next week to babysit the cats. Let me sit down and think about what I'm going to do. See what God wants me to do. That's the key. God is to be involved in every plan you make. Well, that's one more thing I want to talk about. How are we doing on time? I did that little cartoon about everybody going to the left and the one guy going to the right, and somebody commented, well, the narrow way on the right should have been narrower because more people could have gone that way if they'd chosen. That wasn't the point of the cartoon. Nobody wants to go to the right. But you're right. The correct cartoon would have been no path to the left. Just everything open to the left. Nothing to the left is blocked. You can go any direction you want. And one little narrow road, barely enough to walk on, going off to the right. The world basically is the enticement for everybody. The problem is, it's a globe, we're on a globe, You can't see over the horizon. They can't see hell's over the horizon for them, and we can't see heaven's over the horizon for us. We have to go by faith. They're sort of going by faith. They're going by the lies that Satan tells them, but it's still faith. It's the wrong faith. It's a faith in a lie. You got to basically grab someone by the hand and pull them behind you. It's not easy to walk two abreast when you got a narrow path. But they'll be happy you pulled them along. All right, until we meet in the clouds. I mentioned the Tower of Babel. Why was God concerned about the tower, or at least the city in there and everybody there? Well, let's first look at the story itself, and then we'll go back and see what he was concerned about. Now, the whole earth, this is in Genesis 11, verse 1. Now, the whole earth had one language and one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and make them thoroughly." So they're going to build their bricks and make their buildings out of these bricks. "And let us come and build ourselves a city, a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the earth." And that's the key. They didn't want to be scattered abroad. They wanted to stay together. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of man had built. And the Lord said, "Indeed, the people are one, and they all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. Now, nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down there and confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of the earth, and they ceased building the city. Therefore its name was called Babel. Okay, what was wrong with what they were doing? Well, let's turn back. These are the ancestors of Noah. Maybe 300 years later, from when they got off the ark. And going back to verse 8, "And God remembered Noah and every living creature and all animals that were with him on the ark, and God made him a wind to pass over the earth, and the water subside." So he's getting ready to get them off the ark. Then God spoke to Noah in verse 8:15, saying, "Go out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons' wives with you. Bring out with you every living thing with all flesh, that is, with you birds and everything in the air, so that you may abound on the earth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth." And Noah went out with his sons. So he wants them to be fruitful and multiply and cover the earth. And go over to 9. "So God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth." Okay, so that was the commandment. And when they decided they didn't want to do that and just go ahead and settle where they were at and build a big city, that wasn't what God wanted them to do. So that was really the sin that they were doing. Oh, they built a tower that was high. I mean, that seemed to be a thing to do for people in the past. They've got towers and pyramids and stuff, all kinds of things that are built up high. You could easily just go on top of a mountain and build a smaller tower, but it was more impressive. But anyhow, they didn't follow what God wanted them to do. So he destroyed their tower. I did want to mention a couple things here. I'm in 9:28. "And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. So all the days of Noah were 950 years. Do the math. How old is he when he started building the ark? All right. I just wanted to tack that on. You notice everybody before the ark and slightly after lived to be a long time. But it didn't take very long that the years were cut down, and God says man's years will be 120. Well, we haven't really gotten to that yet. They may have back then, but they started getting shorter, and then our behavior, eating habits, whatever, we haven't been able to get back to that, and we're not, because we're out of here soon. Okay. Cooking up some breakfast here. Toast and corned beef cabbage. I ran out of eggs. I gotta go to the market. But we need smell-o-vision. That smells great.